I know if you watch a lot of other woodworking videos and stuff, guys do epoxy tables and a whole bunch of stuff with epoxy. Um, when I do epoxy, it's mainly for for filling voids and stuff like that. So you can see here, this is basically what was a branch. I actually believe this was actually the main body of a tree. It didn't get very big, as you can see, but this was deadfall in my backyard, and it was just standing deadfall, and it just literally just fell over. And I cut it, and I really liked the end grain. I thought it looked pretty cool, but there was this big split in it, so I filled it with epoxy. Doesn't look the greatest right now because it's still settling and everything like that. Um, and then basically with this, what I've been doing is I've been cutting them into mini slabs or discs or whatever you call. And these are some I was kind of practicing on, and tried epoxying after. So these will all have to get a lot of sanding to get them back to nice and smooth. You can see here these look kind of white. This is when I found out that that polyurethane I was mentioning was going milky. I did it on these, and you could see that whiteness, and it didn't absorb properly, and it didn't look great. So these will all have to get sanded down again, and then I'll use the new polyurethane on them. This one I tried doing just the flat epoxy over the whole thing. The only epoxy I really use is kind of like that 2-part 5-minute epoxy. So I was just kind of brushing it on, and just like I was saying, these were kind of experiments, and the brushing didn't get it very even. But at least now this is all sealed, so when I do sand it down, back down to just the bare wood, everything's absorbed in, and it'll be nice and solid still, and then it'll still get the clear either tung oil or polyurethane. I haven't decided quite yet. But these are all just big enough for like a can, like a pop can, or like a coffee mug. So I think it was 13 here. I do have a 14th here, but this one ended up being thinner because the same thing, just playing with the thicknesses of stuff and sanding and to get that one even and whatnot. But basically, I think I'll end up making 2 sets of 6 out of these. And then the rest of this, it becomes too small for the actual, like for it being a coaster. But in the past, I've used them to make Christmas ornaments. So I have a pattern upstairs at the moment, and it's like a silhouette of a deer in a forest, and that's what this one will become. And then I'll drill a hole through it, and I'll probably use like that. I think it's called jute, Jute, kind of twine stuff, and then use that to hang the ornament, and then it looks a little more rustic. And then you have the natural wood edges and the end grain. And like I was saying, this is actual just deadfall out of my backyard. And I know it may seem kind of silly to be using all this epoxy and stuff like that, but honestly, a lot of this epoxy for this particular pour was something I got from a friend who was moving away, and the containers were pretty much no good anymore. Like the one had barely enough of the actual epoxy. Then there's the second part, which is the hardener. The hardener was okay, but the first part was kind of already starting to solidify. So I just mixed what I could out of it and poured it in here to fill that void. And then, like I was saying, that's just other stuff that was kind of garbage that at least got used up. And then, like I was saying, a lot of this was just experimenting, and now I kind of know maybe what I would do next time. And if I have any more deadfall in my yard, or my parents or my brothers or whatever, I can harvest some more lumber out of there. And but yeah, this will basically, I think these will become maybe a couple sets of coasters. Then a couple of the other ones, and I even have a couple smaller ones over here that I'll still have to fill on these because I cut them before I filled. And those ones will become Christmas ornaments. You can see here what I did is I taped the end, and then even with these, I've taped it. That's just to keep the epoxy from oozing all the way out. like I was saying, I normally do a 5-minute epoxy. This particular one here, the stuff that was saved from my buddy's place when he was moving. This stuff, last time I used it, I think it took, well, I think it was like a week to cure. So this one, I'm just going to leave and I'll get to it eventually. You can see it is screwed to a, so I just got a couple holes in the bottom. It's just screwed to a piece of junk plywood. With that, I lined it up so it was square and flat, and then yeah, just screwed it. And then now I could take this to my miter saw and actually have it against the fence, something that's square and true, being the actual base, obviously not the log. And then I can cut the discs. And what I do is I set up a stop block, and then I can cut it and then move and then cut and move. Then that way I get the same thickness each time. So that's just some rambling on about this particular branch project thing. It's a little late in the year because, like I was saying, some of these I was going to use for Christmas ornaments. Right now it is the 23rd, so obviously those won't be for this year. But I make Christmas ornaments all year round when I come across the pieces that I can use, and then when I have them all finished and everything like that, I have different containers with the same price point that I want in each container, kind of thing, whether it be a $3 or $5 or $7 ornament or whatever. I keep them all in those containers and I add it to my spreadsheet. And then when Christmas comes around, it's already all ready to go. And then, like I was saying, the containers a lot of times aren't that big, so I can put a whole bunch, or sorry, the ornaments aren't that big, so I can put a whole bunch into the containers. And even the containers aren't necessarily that big, but you could fit quite a few in there and just keep ahead of it and just keep stock. And then yeah, next year have some more Christmas ornaments made from this log. In the past, I've also done the previous year's Christmas tree. I've taken and done this same kind of idea and then made Christmas ornaments out of the Christmas tree. I'm not sure if anyone in my family has a live tree this year or not. If they do, that's what I'll be doing with that. I think I'll save the bottom bit and turn them into more ornaments, and then just less waste.